But do you think that there's some level of confidence or cockiness is necessary for China now? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hear things left, right, and center that I get confused as well. Is the Chinese economy still strong, going strong, or is the Chinese economy hitting some sort of or going off some sort of a peak with the real estate market is down, the stock market is down, the consumer confidence is down. I mean, which way is it? I don't know. Like,
China has a very strong economy, and it's going to continue to be even stronger in the future. And the basic reason is that China is technologically dynamic, and it is already at the forefront of a large number of technologies that are the key technologies for the next 30 years. Electric vehicles, zero carbon energy systems, fourth generation nuclear, of course, battery supply chains, hydrogen economy, advanced shipping, 5.5G. These are the technologies that the world needs to make the energy transformation, to make the digital transformation. And China is very strong and very dynamic also in those technologies. And the manufacturing ecosystem, especially where we are in the Greater Bay Area, is absolutely extraordinary. I would say unique in the world. So, what's said in the media day to day, well, that's day to day news, but China, like any large economy, has ups and downs and quarters that are bad or quarters that are good. And the COVID was a disruption and so forth. But you have to look at the fundamentals, and the fundamentals are very, very strong. And that's very good, because not only is it good for China, it's good for the world. I do want to come back to this question about China's statecraft. And just to say, of course, we can theorize, but I would point to two historical facts that I think are positive and important. First, China hasn't been in any war for more than 40 years. This is extraordinary. The U.S. has been at war basically every day for the last 40 years, and usually in a number of places. China had a 1-month war with Vietnam in 1979, and since then. And that kind of long peace is, I think, the best evidence we have about China's statecraft right now. There's another historical piece of evidence that I personally believe in, though it's argued and debated among historians and scholars, and that is there was a long, long period of several hundred years, basically 500 years, of what has been called the Confucian peace in the region of China, Korea, Japan, and Vietnam, lasting really from the beginning of the Ming Dynasty until the British invasion of China in 1839 in the First Opium War. And so this long period almost had no war at all. Now, China was undoubtedly then, whether it's PPP or market prices, though the concept didn't exist of GDP, it was by far the dominant power. But China didn't invade Japan. China never in its history invaded Japan, except when the Mongols were briefly running things from in 1274 and 1281. Other than that, for 700 years, it was never an invasion from China to Japan. China never invaded Korea in its history, as far as I know. China invaded Vietnam, yes, 6 centuries ago, in 1410 or so. So this is a long, long peace. And I think that is part of China's statecraft. It is part of a Confucian order, if one could call it that. I believe that that's true. Some of my colleagues in the U.S. say, oh, no, that's not true. China has to be like every other country, which in their mind is war all the time, because in America, it's war all the time.
That is, I mentioned why we should be a bit more self-confident. In a way, as I said, this football, the basketball player Yao Ming, of this height. I said, when China is already this high, this tall, you cannot hide yourself. If you look at CIA's whatever website, it's about China economy, always purchasing power parity. It's CIA which said it's number one economy for 1 decade. Yeah, so in their whatever strategic planning, that's why there's so much worry. China is beating us. Same with this latest ASPI report from Australia. We said out of the 64 critical technology, China is leading the United States in 57. And what's more important is, even a few years ago, it's only China led the United States perhaps in 5, 6, 7 areas. But this 50-something became reality in the last 5 years when the tech war and trade war started, since 2018, 2019. So that's why, when the trade war, tech war broke out, I made an open comment in China television. I said we should give an award to Donald Trump. Because he will allow us to develop much faster. It's nicknamed Nation Builder.
Is that Professor John liked to go back saying that China is already number one from a purchasing power perspective. Right. I don't know why we wanted to do that. And it's a technical explanation of some economic rules that could potentially put China number one. I don't think China wanted to be number one. Why do we want to be number one? Because there's a responsibility coming, from being number one. And that itself is not terribly Chinese. Chinese, we want it to be number 2, number 3. It's okay. We don't need to be number 1. We just mind our own business and do our things right and help ourselves help the world and be a responsible neighbor. And we don't need to be the cop and the big boy on the block and telling other people what to do. We just want to be left alone.
No, the point is, especially in the field of geopolitics, if you underestimate your own power, your own strength, could also create serious problems.
You can overestimate yourself, but you don't tell everybody about it.
In fact, no. In fact, when this last governor of Hong Kong launched his so-called political reform in Hong Kong, he thought China's economic size is smaller than UK. Because by this, US dollar-based calculation, it was. So at that time, Russia made a huge lesson. It said, United States treated Russia as if its economy the size of Spain. So it pushed this expansion of NATO, and even at risk of war. So Putin today only mentioned purchasing power parity. Russia is the largest economy in Europe, larger than Germany.